Welcome back to the AudibleBias podcast. My name is Blake DeJarnett. This week I've got two guests on the show. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name is Cody Marmon.
And I am Nicholas Schmidt.
Good to have you boys back. This week we're going into the divisional round of the NFL playoffs. Just go ahead. We've got the Rams against the Packers. Baltimore's traveling to Buffalo. Cleveland's going to Kansas City. And Tampa Bay is going to New Orleans. Cody, go ahead and start us off. Who is going to come out victorious in those matchups?
Yeah, first game we got Los Angeles traveling to Lambeau Field, but it's probably going to snow. I'm taking the Rams in this game. I know it's not popular, but it's the number one scoring offense versus the number one scoring defense. The difference is Devontae Adams and Jalen Ramsey, that matchup. If Ramsey can take away Devontae Adams, then it forces Rodgers to throw to his secondary weapons, whether it's MBS, Lazard, or Robert Tonyan. And really, I think this game comes down to it's a game script type of game. If Green Bay has to throw this 30, 40 times, obviously that's in favor of the Rams. And they have a great running back in Cam Akers, a rookie out of Florida State. Yes, Goff is playing with a broken thumb, but McVay's a great offensive mind. Brandon Staley, he's probably going to get some head coaching looks at the end of the year. And I just think the Rams are so hot right now. And even with Aaron Donald, they can create so much pressure up front, even if he is hurt.
Yeah, so should I give a pick?
Yep. Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to go with Green Bay. Just at the end of the day, the game's in Lambeau. And we know what Lambeau gets like in the month of January, right? It snows like hell. Everything's going to be a mess. I mean, look at in the past in Green Bay. They played in 1967. They played in what are we called the Ice Bowl in negative degree weather. Remember a few years ago when the Giants beat the Patriots, they played in a cold game there. So that's my one thing is that the weather is going to be a factor and it's going to be cold. And the Rams are coming from LA. There's no snow in LA. There's none of that's there. And I mean, it was impressive. I'm not going to take away. It was impressive what the Rams did against the Seahawks on a few days ago. I mean, don't get them wrong. They played a great game. They got a good defense. Aaron Donald is probably going to be a Hall of Fame type of a guy. Mm-hmm. So defensively, they're really good. But at the end of the day, you got to look at it. That Green Bay's offense is really explosive, and they are really good, and they know how. And they got Aaron Rodgers. They're a quarterback who's arguably going to be probably the MVP, and he's really good, and he's got weapons. And I just think you got to go with Green Bay in this situation because they've been here before, and the Rams really kind of haven't. I mean, they did get to a Super Bowl a few years ago, but they're lacking. Their quarterback play has not been very great. I don't really trust Jared Goff. Running backs, they're okay. Just offensively, I don't think they got enough to handle with Green Bay, and the weather's not going to matter for Green Bay. They just kicked the Titans' ass in a snowstorm. Mm-hmm. So I don't think you should be worried about the weather, and I think Green Bay is going to handle the Rams. I don't even think this is close.
I like it. That's a pretty hot take. I'm also picking Green Bay in this game. Really, I'm excited to see Jalen Ramsey lined up against Devontae Adams. That's super exciting. That's one of the best corners in the game against one of the best receivers right now. Yeah, I think Aaron Rodgers is just the MVP. It's going to light up the Rams defense. It's exciting to see. It's going to be a toss-up, pretty close game. But how do y'all feel about the Baltimore-Buffalo game?
Yeah, Baltimore-Buffalo. One more thing on Rodgers. He has 48 touchdowns, and I think the Packers have punted it like 45 or 46 times. So that just shows how elite the Packers offense has been. But Ravens-Bills for this game, it's going to be snowing. I think it's like a 40% chance, very similar to Lambeau. And obviously Buffalo knows how to play in the snow. Lamar Jackson's never played in the snow. I just think the Ravens just got this huge chip on their shoulder. They've been hit with adversity this year, whether it's been with COVID, going 14-2 last year, now 11-5. I think they won 5 in a row, I believe, going on 6. And there's just something about this team that, whether it's their running game, their defense, outside of Peters and Humphrey, their pass rush, like they just have that it factor. And I think they travel into Buffalo. It's going to be a tight game, but I think Baltimore ends up winning this game.
I agree with you. I think it's hard for me to pick against the Ravens after what they did against Tennessee. Their defense shut down what I think is a better offense than the Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen surprised me. I didn't think he'd be able to win a playoff game, but I don't think he's going to be winning this one, despite it being in Buffalo. Schmitty, what do you think about this one?
Okay, so this one's actually kind of hard for me to pick because I think Baltimore's got a lot of momentum. I mean, they've been playing really well. Like, they were off to a really bad start. They were 6-5. Since then, they haven't lost. They're on a 5-6 game winning streak coming into this game. Buffalo has also been playing really good, and I think they kind of – I mean, granted, though, I think they had kind of a tough wild card matchup last week against the Colts. I think the Colts are pretty good. You know, they had to go up against Phillip Rivers, and you know that guy's always going to be ready to play, and he's a gamer. So, I mean, I think they had a tough matchup, and that's why they kind of struggled, but they won the game, so they can't really complain there. But this one's really hard because I think Baltimore offensively, again, they're really good. Lamar is a pretty good quarterback. They got good receivers, good run game, but shit, man, this is really, really tough to pick. But I'm gonna go with Buffalo mainly because I think they're just more explosive offensively. I think they're more of a complete team than the Ravens are. But this is going to be a close game. I think it's a 4-quarter game. It's going to come right down to the wire. But you got to go with Buffalo because I just think they're more complete. They're good defense, good offense. I think they get the job done.
All right. Now, going into what I think is a pretty interesting matchup, I think it should be a blowout. Kansas City against taking on Cleveland. Cleveland's the underdog Cinderella story team, Cinderella story of this postseason. Cody, what's your prediction for this game?
Yeah, Chase Claypool would agree with you on that. But I just it's so hard to pick against the Chiefs. I mean, yes, they haven't played in a while, and the Browns are this hot team that, they have the Cinderella about them and just this moxie. And, obviously Kevin Stefanski's coming back from COVID, but it's just you can't pick against the Super Bowl champs in this scenario. I mean, and just to look inside the matchup, the Browns don't necessarily have the pass rush. Yes, they have Myles Garrett, but we know he's going to get double teamed. And the Chiefs' offensive line has struggled a little bit. I believe they're getting Mitchell Schwartz back for this game, one of their best tackles. And I don't know their running back situation. I think Edwards-Helaire is coming back. But, if you pick against Mahomes in any playoff matchup, I really don't know what you're doing. I hope the best for Cleveland. I hope this is a close game. But, yeah, it's hard to pick up. It's hard to pick against the Kansas City Chiefs.
I'll tell you, I've had a very similar attitude that Juju had against Cleveland. The Browns are the Browns. I've had that all season. They beat the Titans. They came to the playoffs. It's like, all right, Browns are still the Browns. Got a huge surprise victory against Pittsburgh, but they're just not enough talent on defense to stop, Mahomes, Kelsey, Tyreek Hill, like you said, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, hopefully. I think Kansas City's going to win by at least 2 scores. Schmitty, you have any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I got thoughts on this. I mean, this is an interesting game. And, at the end of the day, it's you got the Browns, great story. Let's just start there. They haven't been to the playoffs since 2002. Last time they went to the playoffs, they had Butch Davis coaching, and they got beat by Pittsburgh in the first. Or I think they got beat. I don't know. But let's just take a minute let's just give the Browns some credit here. They made the playoffs and they won a game. They're playing great football. What problem, though, is they're playing Kansas City in the divisional round, and they're playing Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelsey and Le'Veon Bell and what's the other? Edwards? Is he still hurt or what?
He's coming back from the hip.
And he's coming back. So everything is going for Kansas City. And the Browns, great story. I think they got a great run game. And I think Baker's really matured as a quarterback. They got a good young head coach. They're a young team. They're definitely going to be a championship caliber team down the road. But I think right now it's a little early, and I think they should just be, they're enjoying the ride. And sadly, I think it's going to end against Kansas City. So, I mean, I think the Chiefs they're just by far and away. I think the Chiefs are probably the best team in the league, to be honest with you. So
yeah, I agree. One thing on Baker too, he's really, like you said, each quarterback kind of needs to be in the right system, and he's in the perfect system with Stefanski. And especially early on, he was throwing a lot of interceptions and getting settled into this offense. Once they hit their bye week and they came out of it, he's been an entirely different quarterback. And especially the way they beat Pittsburgh, I thought Baker needed to play at an elite level, and he really did.
Absolutely. He surprised me, someone that I've tried to doubt for so long, and he just completely shut me up this season. Now this is, to me, the most exciting matchup of the week. We've got New Orleans, Drew Brees taking on Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. Exciting matchup, two future Hall of Famers. Cody, what's your prediction for this one?
Yeah, so New Orleans, they absolutely destroyed Tampa both times in the postseason. Tampa's been an entirely different team ever since coming out of their bye week. And there is no way that, in my opinion, that New Orleans is going to beat Tampa 3 times in one season. I don't see it happening. The way Tampa's offense is, they're getting back to like kind of how Brady was in New England. You're running the ball really well, and then you're hitting them over the top with those explosive pass plays. Antonio Brown is the perfect connection with Brady, and it just seems like when he has the ball in his hands, like he's even faster than he was before. Evans, and then obviously Chris Godwin, they have so many weapons. Really, I mean, the thing about this is Tampa defensively too, they have that interior pass rush that can get to Drew Brees. Devin White's coming back, who didn't play last week because of COVID. I'm riding Tampa this game.
So this game is an interesting game to me because I think it's going to be really close. Saints have beaten the Bucs the past 2 times, but coming in, I'm looking at it and I don't know about Tampa Bay. I think they're really sketchy. They were pretty fortunate to beat Washington on Saturday. That game got really close and it really shouldn't have been, but they, I don't think they looked all that great. Vice versa, New Orleans didn't look all that great against Chicago either. So I think both teams are they looked a little shaky last week. I think that they'll shred it off and we'll move on. But the game's in New Orleans. We know how, postseason play ends there. Usually the Saints are pretty, they're ready to go and they play well in the playoffs. But it's just, it comes down to who do you want more? I mean, who do you trust more in your quarterback play? Do you go with Brady, who's won 6 Super Bowls? Do you go with Drew Brees, who is by far going to be a Hall of Famer as well? It just depends on what type of quarterback we're going to get, because Brady has not played all that well this year. And granted, though, he comes in and it's really tough for me to go against that guy, because that guy is by far probably the best champion quarterback of all time, hands down. And he's coming in and it's really hard to not go against him. So, but I don't know. The Saints are good. It's a hard game for me to pick, but I'm gonna lean towards New Orleans just because I think I'm going with more complete teams, and I think New Orleans is more complete. I think their run game's better than Tampa Bay's. I think their defense gets a slight advantage over Tampa Bay, but and I also think Breeze right now, I'm not saying in terms of if you look at head to head, who's a better quarterback all time, probably Brady is, but right now I think Breeze is playing better than Brady. So I'm going to go with New Orleans in a really tight game, but I think that game to me as well is going to draw the most interest.
I'm very excited for this one. To me, the Saints offense is just hit their stride. They've just found their identity. Alvin Kamara's back on the field. Michael Thomas just got his first touchdown last week of the season, which is hilarious to me. Drew Brees, I've said this for a long time, is better than Tom Brady, is the GOAT, and I think this game will secure it. I really am looking at defense this year. I think Cameron Jordan's a game breaker, but I also think you look at all of Tampa Bay. Jason Pierre-Paul's been playing pretty well, having one of his better seasons in a while. Skill Barrett's also a very solid player. It's tough for me to even call this one. I think overall, Tampa Bay's offense has a few more weapons better. It's going to be a close one, but I think the Saints are going to win by 3 points. And as we wrap up here, I'm just going to end this with a quick question for both of y'all to answer with a little bit of input. Is Deshaun Watson going to be a Houston Texan next season?
Okay.
I do not think so. I think that, if you look at it, I think Houston has some very stupid people running that organization. I mean, look, the guy came in and he said he wanted to have Eric Bieniemy be the next coach as offensive coordinator, and they said we're not going to interview him. And then they decide, okay, we'll reach out for him for an interview. One problem is they're playing a playoff game this weekend. Therefore, Eric Bieniemy cannot talk to the Texans. So therefore, the interview cannot happen this week. So I mean, the whole thing is just remarkably, I'm just sitting here, and it's when you look at the Texans, you're just sitting there, you're just scratching your head because Deshaun Watson is a top 10 quarterback. I mean, he is really good, and I think he's got a lot of potential. He could maybe end up in the Hall of Fame. I don't know. He could be. But the thing is Houston is just making terrible decisions. I mean, it started when they made Bill O'Brien the GM, and the first thing he does is let's trade DeAndre Hopkins. Why in the hell would you trade DeAndre Hopkins? I mean, come on. I mean, that's the thing. And I think Watson's extremely frustrated with them. I don't think he wants to be there, and I don't blame him, and I think he should move on. And I don't know where he's going to go. Maybe Miami, but I don't see him as a Texan anymore.
Yeah, and the one thing with Deshaun Watson, I do think he gets traded, and he has no trade clause, so he kind of determines where he wants to go, and I think Miami is the best fit. But the issue with this is, like Nick said, Watson wanted Bieniemy to be to get his interview, right? And Watson was told when he signed his contract that he was going to have a say in who the general manager was and who the head coach was. And then obviously, Houston just does what they do, and they're just it's just a pitiful franchise. And then Andre Johnson, who is obviously a Houston Texan legend, came out on Twitter and said, this franchise is absolutely horrendous, and called them out. And then DeAndre Hopkins did the same thing. Yeah, Watson, for me, because he has that no trade clause, he really just controls his own destiny. I think Miami is the best fit. Now, whatever they send him, obviously, it would be Tua, maybe the 3rd or 18th overall pick. But yeah, I just think for his career, he's 25 years old. He controls what he can. And it's very similar to what Carson Palmer did when he was with the Bengals. He said he was never going to step foot on Paul Brown Stadium ever again. Ended up getting his way and got traded to the Raiders. And we saw the success he had, especially with Bruce Arians in Arizona. So I just think career-wise, I think Watson does need to get traded.
Yeah, as a Titans fan, I would like to see him get out of the division. Obviously, I would much rather be playing against a Tua-led Houston team than Deshaun Watson. Overall, though, it's just a very sad case. Mm-hmm. Their front office is pretty much just a dumpster fire. They're just incompetent, don't know how to run a team, don't know how to build a team. Honestly, I don't mind seeing him lose, but I do hate to see talent like him just go to waste. And that'll wrap up this week's episode of AudibleBias. Thank you, Cody and Schmidt, for hopping on, and we will see you next week.